My parents constantly try to explain to me how sick he is. That I'm lucky for having a brain where all the chemicals flow properly to their destinations, like undammed rivers. When I complain about how bored I am without a little brother to play with, they try to make me feel bad by pointing out that his boredom likely far surpasses mine, considering his confinement to a dark room in an institution. I always beg for them to give him one last chance. Of course they did, at first. Charlie has been back home several times, each in shorter duration than the last. Every time without fail, it all starts again. The neighborhood cats with gouged out eyes showing up in his toy chest. My dad's razors, found dropped on the baby slide in the park across the street. Mom's vitamins, replaced by bits of dishwasher tablets. My parents are hesitant now, using last chances sparingly. They say his disorder makes him charming, makes it easy for him to fake normalcy, and to trick the doctors who care for him into thinking he's ready for rehabilitation, that I will just have to put up with my boredom if it means staying safe from him. I hate it when Charlie has to go away. It makes me have to pretend to be good until he is back. I used to live in a small building downtown. One of the reasons I moved out was the bad neighborhood, including the guy in the apartment right over mine. He was a weird-looking guy who kind of kept himself. Around midnight, though, there was frequently a strange noise that got on my nerves. To be fair, it wasn't loud, but I'm a really light sleeper, so it was hard to keep my eyes shut with those little bumping sounds going on and on. It reminded me of high heels walking around, but not as loud, as if the person causing the noise was actually trying to be quiet. After a few days, I realized the pattern was always the same, like a recording played over and over with random intervals in between, and that went on for the better part of a year. Always the same sequence of bumps, slowly tattooed into my mind. Sometimes for hours straight during the night. It was only several years later, helping my daughter with her homework, that I learned a little bit of Morse code. She knocked on the table with her knuckles, and a shiver immediately went through my spine as I recognized that exact pattern. When I asked her what it meant, she said, "It's the easiest one, Daddy. It's the one to call for help." "Please, I'm literally begging you," I say, but the executioner only sighs and gives me a truly sorrowful look as he slides the IV into my arm. The chaplain sits beside me. Once he pushes the button, the drugs will be administered in quick succession. Unconsciousness will occur in roughly 30 seconds, and death soon after that. He explains, even though I have heard it so many times before already. "Any final words?" "Just, again, I beg you not to do this," I say. The chaplain nods sadly, sorrowful that I do not face my executioner with a clean conscience. That's the thing, though. I haven't murdered anyone. It's been this way my entire life. I don't know why, but whenever I would accidentally hurt myself, others around me would receive the wound. I once got a paper cut in class, and it caused 3 people around me to bleed from their fingers. In high school, I was in a car accident, and even though my side of the car was hit, my girlfriend developed a broken leg. I was always very careful. I took care of myself, trying to stay in the very best of health. But when I was mugged by that trio and he shot me in the face, their faces exploded, not mine. And when the cops came, they found me kneeling beside their bodies, trying to figure out what to do, and stupidly holding their gun. Around 30 seconds after the execution started, I see both the executioner and chaplain fall to the floor with a hard thump. "I begged you," I repeated sadly. Julia knew she was smart. She was one of those clever children, the kind of child who figures out early on that parents aren't all powerful and all-knowing. The first time she realized this was when she got scared. There had been a noise in her room coming from under her bed or from the closet, and Julia ran down the hall crying,
"Mommy! Daddy!"
"What's wrong, honey?"
I heard a monster."
Julia glubbed. She expected them to comfort her or roll their eyes or get annoyed. Instead, they jumped up immediately and raced to her bedroom, where they checked under the bed, inspected the closet, and tested the window lock. They poked, prodded, and scoured every inch. Julia caught on quickly. She knew what they were doing. By taking her fears seriously, they were showing their little girl that she was safe and loved. They had probably read about it in some book. But the lesson Julia learned was that she had power. Thereafter, waking her parents became a nightly event. Julia would scream and cry. They would rush to her bedroom, and Julia would hide her grin behind tears. But not once did they ever complain. One night she could stand it no longer, and she burst out laughing when Daddy fell down while examining the light fixture, as if a monster could fit up there. "What's so funny?" he asked, rubbing his backside.
"You.
Julia smirked.
You always believe me."
Daddy wasn't angry. He just looked at Mommy. "Once," he said quietly, "just once, we didn't believe your brother." And Julia, an only child, did not sleep well that night. We bought an old house, my boyfriend and I. He's in charge of the new construction, converting the kitchen into the master bedroom, for instance, while I'm on wallpaper duty. The previous owner wallpapered every wall and ceiling. Removing it is brutal, but oddly satisfying. The best feeling is getting a long peel, similar to when your skin is peeling from a sunburn. I don't know about you, but I kind of make a game of peeling, on the hunt for the longest piece before it rips. Under a corner section of paper in every room is a person's name and a date. After a while, curiosity got the best of me one night when I Googled one of the person's names and discovered the person was actually a missing person. The missing date, matching the date under the wallpaper. The next day, I made a list of all the names and dates. Sure enough, each name was for a missing person with dates to match. We notified the police, who sent out a crime scene team. I overheard one tech say, "Yep, it's human." Human? What's human? "Ma'am, where's the material you moved from the walls already? This isn't wallpaper you were removing." He had been given the watch on his 10th birthday. It was an ordinary gray plastic wristwatch, in every respect except for the fact that it was counting down. "This is all of the time you have left in the world, son. Use it wisely." And he did. As the watch ticked away, the boy, now a man, lived life to the fullest. He climbed mountains and swam oceans. He talked and laughed and lived and loved. The man was never afraid, for he knew exactly how much time he had left. Eventually, the watch began its final countdown. The old man stood looking over everything he had done, everything he had built. 5. He shook hands with his old business partner, the man who had long been his friend and confidant. 4. His dog came and licked his hand, earning a pat on the head for its companionship. 3. He hugged his son, knowing he had been a good father. 2. He kissed his wife on the forehead, one last time. 1. The old man smiled and closed his eyes. Then, nothing happened. The watch beeped once and turned off. The man stood standing there very much alive. You would think that in that moment, he would have been overjoyed. Instead, for the first time in his life, the man was scared.